you're very purpose driven, and we enjoy that too. Like, we're very purpose driven in what we do. We do things because we have a passion for it. We have a love for it. We have a want and desire to do for others. It sounds like that's kind of similar to what you guys do.
That's exactly it. Our purpose is community. I mean, we give back to our community. We work with our community. Our goal is to create a product that allows us to support the community. And it just so happens that we get to make a damn good product while we do it.
Hell yeah.
Isn't it funny how that works? If you have a passion and you have, a calling, let's just call it, or something like that, and you really like what you do, like, it really means that you see the difference in the product.
YUNKJunk!
All right, what's going on, Philadelphia? And welcome to second episode of the Supper Club Sessions with me, Lou Novak, and my co-host, Sean Junkyard Dog McGranahan, as we discuss all things bar and restaurant related in the city of Philadelphia. Sean, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
You know what? Honestly, I've been better.
I don't care, actually, because I have a bone to pick, and it's been something that's been kind of riding me for the past week. And now that episode 1 has dropped and the meteoric rise has begun, I feel it's appropriate this time to call you out a little bit on your personal affronts towards me last week. As many of you might know, hopefully most of you do, Lou had some very choice words about a wonderful product, and it upset me. I took it to heart, both because of my being a fan of it, but also my undying
alcoholism.
That and being Irish, and I did get a little bit upset at the fact that you chastised Jameson. You called it
swill,
overrated.
Okay. The truth.
As if somebody who is overrated themselves can deem what is overrated. As a result, I've decided to bring something in today, just so you can look at it the entire time.
I feel like my credit score just lowered by looking at it.
I'm sure it did, actually, and it can't go any lower than what it is. So that's kind of tough territory.
Famous.
Yeah. So, last week we did a little overrated, underrated, and we talked about Lewis brought up the fact that Jameson was overrated, and that
you did say fact. Thank you for that.
And it's not overrated. Okay, it is a wonderful, wonderful drink. It's a wonderful whiskey. I love wetting my whistle to it, and I would like for you to apologize to Jameson right now.
Are you familiar with the term Stockholm Syndrome? It's when you've just been indoctrinated and traumatized so bad that you actually start to believe all the bad things are actually good because you don't know better. Do you think that's possible that that's happening right now?
No, and I would appreciate.
Sounds like something that suffers from Stockholm Syndrome.
I would appreciate you not gaslight me. I believe that's what the kids call it, and I would appreciate if you just acknowledge the fact that Jameson is not overrated. Now on to topic number 2. Lots of stuff going on in the city this week. There's a little thing called WrestleMania.
Love the shirt, by the way.
I don't know if anybody can see the shirt.
Junkyard Dog at its finest.
Junkyard Dog, a wonderful wrestler. He had Thump on the backside of his trunks.
Yep.
And that is now my nickname.
Fun fact, do you remember his entrance song?
Absolutely. And another one, Bats of Dust. That was, that was one of my favorite entrances. And he used to come out with the chains and stuff like that. And he'd come into the ring and, awesome. JYD was R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. JYD, but fantastic performer. And yeah, we have WrestleMania coming to Lincoln Financial Field. Not just one day, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. We will be there.
We will on Sunday.
Yeah, night 2, the real main event, where we see finally Cody Rhodes finish the story and defeat Roman Reigns.
Who? Doing what?
Stop. Why are you this way?
I'm going because I heard it was a good party, and
it's going to be a great party.
Right. So
it's going to be a celebration though when Cody Rhodes beats the Tribal Chief to win the title.
Who's the Tribal Chief?
Roman Reigns, The Rock's cousin.
Are they really cousins?
They're really cousins. Yeah, they come from the Anwai family. It's Samoan. I probably flubbed the pronunciation.
So it's not all fake.
Don't. It's a bad word. We don't use the F word when we talk about
I'm not talking
wrestling.
about wrestling in general. I know wrestling is it's an entertainment sport. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about their relationship. They really are related.
No, they're blood cousins.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
No, because
their family history, their family tree, literally like their entire family have been pro wrestlers or either performers or like the agents or the bookers and the people that actually run everything behind the scenes. Like it's legit.
It's the model for entitled nepotism.
Yeah, they're all nepo babies.
Okay.
Yes, that's Rock's claim to fame is being a nepo baby. Yeah.
When
we go to the debate at La Roca, when they have The Rock and Kevin Hart, you could tell The Rock he's a nepo baby.
Okay. Smack him too, because
you actually channeled a little bit of Rock earlier when he asked me how I was doing. You're like, it doesn't matter how you're doing. So
I still don't listening to you. So,
Nice.
But yeah, I think there's a lot going on this week now. I know you're a big wrestling fan. I was when I was a child, but some people just never grow up.
Growing up for old people.
I know. I'm just kidding. Listen, there's not wrestling. I think is one thing that everybody can get into at some point. Like it's literally like you think about like cross cultures, cross nations. Everybody at some point can just enjoy a wrestling match.
Good versus evil.
Yeah,
it's a story as old as the Bible.
Yeah,
there's the good guy, there's the bad guy. It's pro wrestling.
So I obviously we're going on Sunday. My brother and
Rocco
nephew and Rocco's going. We have a lot of friends that are going. What are you looking forward to most this week with having WrestleMania in Philadelphia?
That's a great question. There's so much going on. So leading into WrestleMania weekend, well, first of all, today is the last episode of Raw before WrestleMania, Monday night.
Did you tell me before that Raw is SmackDown's bigger than Raw, or is it kind of like 1A, 1B?
Raw's always been looked at the A show and B, and
right,
SmackDown's
that's what
always
I thought.
been.
You told me something.
But since Roman Reigns has won the title and he's always primarily been a SmackDown guy, like SmackDown's the show.
Okay.
Like all roads go through Roman has been like kind of like the tagline, and like he's like the main guy. So whatever show he's on is the main show. Cody Rhodes is a Raw guy, but he's fighting Roman, who's a SmackDown guy. So we'll see how the shows kind of change over if Cody wins the title. But we have the last Raw of before WrestleMania tonight, followed by what's going to be a really, really, really deep documentary for Bray Wyatt, who passed away this year from COVID-related injuries or illnesses. Yeah. Then we have the last SmackDown on Friday, followed by the Hall of Fame, which they're inducting Philadelphia's own Paul Heyman. Used to be the owner-operator of ECW down in South Philly. So they're inducting him into the Hall of Fame. I'll be there for that. That's going to be amazing. Him with a live mic, unscripted, in front of a Philadelphia audience is going to be interesting, to say the least. He's never been one to bite his tongue, and anything he does on the mic is golden. So that's going to be cool.
Are there other people being inducted too, or is it like one person?
Other people
or
as well.
Is there any other big names?
He's the biggest name.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? With all respect, in the celebrity wing, they're inducting Muhammad Ali. So, in the broad stroke of things, Muhammad Ali, well more known than Paul Heyman. But in the wrestling world, Paul Heyman's headlining it. Muhammad Ali is going to be a guest, like celebrity induction. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. So I have SmackDown tickets plus the Hall of Fame, and then night one we'll party and we'll watch it on Peacock. And then night two, it's going to be a shift. We're gonna be there for a while. I think doors are at 6. Probably take us an hour to get in at least. So line up around 4, maybe 5. So get there around 3.
Maybe
my
like
anxiety will take me.
Yeah.
We'll get there at noon. We'll have a few beers and we'll have a good time. Some Steve Weisers. Hell yeah.
Steve Weisers.
Steve Weisers. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Like reminds me of that. Nice. Yeah. So now, do they do it like Friday SmackDown is at the Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And then Saturday is the first show at Link.
Correct.
Sunday is the second show at Link.
Correct.
Are they doing Monday at Wells Fargo too?
Usually they do the Raw after Mania somewhere really adjacent to where it was. I don't know if it's going to be at Wells Fargo. I don't know, to be honest with you. The Monday after Mania is always awesome too. They usually have any tricks that they didn't pull out for Mania.
You have to save it. Otherwise, nobody's going to watch it.
Night 2.
Like you have to sit there and get an idea of like, okay, we got to watch it.
Well, you look at it like WrestleMania is pretty much like the end of the season of a TV show, right? Like that's the season, or that's like the season finale.
The build up.
So they always need like, if this is WrestleMania 40, so season 40 ends Sunday night, but season 41 starts the very next day. So you always have to start heavy and end heavy. So anything, they don't do, if they don't pull the stops on WrestleMania, they pull them all out on the day after to get people excited for the next season of the show.
I like that. Do you have anything else lined up? Are you going? I know there's a lot of like autograph things and convention. I know Chris is going down to the convention. I think Thursday. I think he said it is, or something. At the convention center for like a big
Thursday
thing
and Friday. Yeah, there's WWE World on Thursday.
Yeah, I think he's going down there. I think like Thursday or Friday. I think.
Yeah, and there's something going on Friday as well. I don't know if it's the same spot, but there's lots of different places around there doing autographs and memorabilia and stuff for pro wrestling. But yeah, so. Big thing happening in Philadelphia right now this weekend. It's going to bring in, I think, like over 100,000 people to the city. So it's good for business, good for jobs, terrible for traffic. Probably good for bars, though.
Probably good for bars. I think as of right now, I think, we're going to be watching night 1 probably in a bar.
Absolutely.
To enjoy it. We just got to make sure that's all lined up.
Make sure like the vibe is right too. So it's like, make sure they have the sound on and not like music playing in the background. Yeah. Which is, listen, you're at a bar, you want to listen to music. I get that, right? So, but if they have WrestleMania on, we want the sound on. Which like, just between me and you, like, I don't know if you want to, but yeah, last week we talked about overrated things like Jameson and some underrated things. What's your thoughts on some bar music? Any, like, what if some ideas for what you think like a good bar song, an overrated bar song would be? Any
an overrated bar song or underrated or
I tell you, why don't we do the last time? We did overrated first and then underrated.
Okay, overrated by far and away, Sweet Caroline.
I completely agree with you. I don't know how often that's going to happen on this podcast.
I don't know how many teams, like sports teams, say that like, that's their song or something like that.
Every Boston team ever.
Yeah. It's good times don't feel so good. It's just not. it's not. I hear that song come on, and I literally, like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, pee break.
When's it end?
I'm good. Like, check. Good. Like, oh, we're doing that. I don't despise it as much as like there's a local bar around here that we really love. We've been to a few times, and they've been in the paper for us. I'll say Billy Murphy's Saloonery, great bar over in East Falls, home
burgers.
of the Turf Burger, which is phenomenal. But they are infamous for, and there's a big sign on it that says this: no Bon Jovi on the jukebox. If you play Bon Jovi, it will be skipped. Now, I'm not that averse to it. Okay, if Sweet Caroline comes on, I refuse to sing along. And I don't care how much of my friend comes to visit. I'm not singing along to Sweet Caroline. There's no point.
I'm with you on this one, actually. This will be, again, we could start taking tallies on how often we agree, but I'm with you. Sweet Caroline, overrated. I'm going to go with mine. A song that growing up in the bar scene, I've heard more times than I could count, but Don't Stop Believing by Journey. It jumped the shark after The Sopranos. Yeah. And I think that's when it kind of got a resurgence with popularity. Like, but if I have to go into another bad bar and just hear Don't Stop Believing over and over and over again with the solo that's way too long. And, first of all, did you know there's no such thing as South Detroit?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's geographically not a place that exists. So they took some creative license and just made up a fucking place. So yeah, Journey, Don't Stop Believing, overrated.
Okay. Not to keep piggybacking, I agree with you on that one too. Cool. But I feel, okay, I'll tell you the story. This is before your time, but when Sopranos was playing its last episode, and I had a bar over in East Falls, and we broadcasted it. We had it on. We had a big viewing party for it.
Demand.
It was a great night. What do you think happened? What do you think the reaction was from the people in the bar when the music cut off and the screen went to black.
Resounding boos.
But what do you think they said?
Ooh, I don't believe it.
What do people say when the power goes out when you're at a bar?
You didn't pay the bill?
You didn't pay the bill?
Yeah.
You pay Comcast? Yeah. I didn't pay
happened.
That's exactly what happened. You know, that's exactly what happened. I decided that Comcast had it in for me. They saw that I was, going to be broadcasting it live and have a viewing party for it. But I be honest with you, since that night, I'm not a big fan of that song whatsoever. Again, it's not bad. It's not a bad song. Glee did a cover of it like 17 times. I mean, I feel like every other episode they were singing "Don't Stop Believing."
I was a high key Gleek, by the way.
I was a low key Gleek,
okay.
And after the fact, I think it was like probably season 3 or 4 of the All Star. I was like, oh, this show ain't that bad.
Great show.
Went and rewatched it. I was like, oh, look. But then when it started getting the same thing over and over and over again, Brittany, the backup dancer.
Was she age appropriate for you to be saying that?
She was actually like 31 years old when that thing was being filmed, okay? I don't care if she was in a high school cheerleader costume. She was literally like 31 years old.
I'm not trying to get canceled episode 2. I'm just making sure.
So Don't Stop Believing, Sweet Caroline, we're both on the same page.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on something that's underrated?
Underrated song. I don't know if it's underrated, meaning like it doesn't get enough like coverage and publicity, but I'll say like great bar song, Mr. Brightside by the Killers.
Gets the crowd going.
Yeah, I mean it's the millennial national anthem.
When that song came out and I was working at Finnegan's Wake, and like whenever a band would like crank into that, like usually during like second set, like trying to the cover bands, the great cover bands of the days, the Monkey Bus, the Steamroller Picnic, the
Mr. Green Jeans,
Secret Service, but that would usually be like a second set song, like the middle of the second set where they're like, all right, let's get this energy going.
They're dying, let's get it back up.
And I just remember seeing that whole floor just like float. And it was an amazing sight. But I'll agree with that. I don't know that it's underrated though. I think it gets a lot of play, and I don't think I've very rarely heard anybody say anything negative about it.
So it's properly rated.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, another instance of you being wrong.
What was your idea of underrated song, Sean? I can't wait to hear this.
Of underrated?
Yeah.
I guess I have to think about that one for a second. Jolene by Dolly Parton.
It's actually a great song.
Does it get a lot of play?
It's actually a great song.
Good night, everybody. So now we've established that I win and Lou lost. Yeah, I mean, is there any other direction to go now that you've literally had to agree with me or be wrong?
Best. I mean, it's not as good as 9 to 5.
No, but I'm talking about underrated. 9 to 5 is rated. 9 to 5, people are like, working 9 to 5.
Great.
And
how'd it go?
And people get right into it. But you try to throw a Jolene at somebody and they're like, wait a minute, hold on, what?
Well, everyone knows it now because of the Beyonce version.
But I mean, it's been on my playlist for
great song
since Miley Cyrus started singing it.
That's her goddaughter.
I know.
Yeah, real. I love Miley, by the way. Miley's underrated. As popular as she is, I still don't think she gets enough credit.
I don't think she gets enough credit for being like the artist that she is.
Correct.
Like I look back on when she was in her like Molly phase and like
and people still hold on to that like, oh, she was like a train wreck for a little bit or some shit like that. But
or she was being young and dumb like we all
all get it. We should all get to be that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like
she just had to make her mistakes in front of the national
her
coverage.
Performance with Robin Thicke. Or whatever.
White Lines?
It was,
at the VMAs or what?
It was truly, truly shattering. I mean,
by performance, you mean
the way that she was able to move both her body, her tongue, his thighs.
How about the song? There was a song. There was a song, right?
Marvin Gaye. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree.
All right. Well, what else do you have going on today, Sean? What else is going on in your world outside of being wrong about Jameson and us actually agreeing on music?
Well, I tell you what else is going on in the world right now. I mean, it's not a big surprise, but small craft batch, small batch bourbon.
Hell yeah.
rye,
Yes.
whiskey,
Sign me up.
local.
I'll drink it.
One of the things that, when we go out, we always look for is, what do we want to be drinking right now? What do we want to be having? What do we want to, be entertaining ourselves with? And, when we were younger, obviously it was cheap and get it down my throat, and.
Are you talking about bourbon still?
And now that I'm older and more sophisticated, sometimes I like to maybe enjoy the flavor profile of different items. So we're really working with a lot of different vendors out there, but one really stands out, and it's the reason why we brought them in for our first guest for the Supper Club.
Can't wait to who we got today. We have Kyle from Oaks Distillery. He'll be over to sample out some product with us and discuss everything going on with the farm. So that brings us to introducing our guest here today. We have Kyle Richards from Oaks Farm Distillery. Kyle, welcome to the Supper Club Sessions podcast.
Thanks, Lou. Glad to be here, kind of. I mean, y'all already kind of jumped in on each other. I'm ready. I'm ready for the gauntlet.
Well, yeah, not for nothing. You are ready, and I'm very, very proud of you being ready. You're the first guest on the Supper Club podcast.
I'm gonna take that, and I'm gonna brag to everyone about this when I leave. So good luck, guys.
You're the first person to actually say yes.
That's fair. The others were like, I don't know about you.
And he brought samples. So
and you brought samples. Yeah, we love you already.
But tell us about Oaks.
Oaks. We're a purpose-driven distillery, right?
Yeah.
We near and dear to our hearts. We're charitable. We're good people, and we commit to making good product. Talked about jumping and tasting. And you said whiskey and rye, so they tricked me. Now there are 2 samples when I thought there was only 1.
Oh no!
How did that happen?
What are we gonna do?
So but I'm gonna recruit you, Sean. I'll throw a very quick note out there, and if you want to pour, you look like you might be the pro amongst us.
I try my best.
What do we
I'm
have
gonna
here?
try this Pennsylvania rye whiskey. Tell me a little bit about it. What do I need to know?
It's designed to be like traditional rye whiskey that Pennsylvania has always been known for
Nice
making
to
rye
see
whiskeys.
Sean has a moderate pour.
That's my kind of pour. I'm excited now. We're gonna have a good night. So it's designed to be, like the traditional rye whiskeys of old, and really meant to embody Pennsylvania. It's 100% grown and sourced PA.
Where are you guys at in PA?
We are in New Tripoli, which if you look for on the map, kind of looks like it's sticking out of the Lehigh Valley by like that much.
Is it anywhere near Old Tripoli?
That's a great question for someone who lives over there.
Is it true that
Thank you, sir.
Muhammad Gaddafi was actually there at some point? That's a cut point. Just so we're on the same page, okay?
I like how I'm being thrown to the wolves here.
It's veteran owned. We can't say that kind of stuff. I was trying to do the
Body is on the farm right now.
I was thinking more like that joke with The Hangover, where it was like, did the actual Caesar live here? I was trying to think of that, and then I was going to say, did the actual Pharaoh of Egypt? And I was like, wait a minute, Egypt is not Tripoli. It's Anyway, said. And we're back.
Don't throw me back in on the we're back.
So you got
cut that too. Yeah.
So you guys are out of Lehigh Valley, and I know that you're very purpose driven, and we enjoy that too. Like, we're very purpose driven in what we do. We do things because we have a passion for it. We have a love for it. We have a want and desire to do for others. It sounds like that's kind of similar to what you guys do.
That's exactly it. Our purpose is community. I mean, we give back to our community. We work with our community. Our goal is to create a product that allows us to support the community. And it just so happens that we get to make a damn good product while we do it.
Hell yeah.
Isn't it funny how that works? If you have a passion and you have, a calling, let's just call it, or something like that, and you really like what you do, like, it really means that you see the difference in the product. Just like in the restaurant, when we have somebody who comes in and they can see that we're engaging them. We're not just, Hi, how you doing? Here's your table.
You're not reading a script.
You're not reading a script. You're actually talking to them. How was your day? You're talking to the staff. How are you doing? Is there anything you need help with? You're talking to your guests, making sure that the food came out right, making sure their drinks are good, asking them where they're from. Sometimes it's those little things, but you have to have that passion to do that in our business. And it's nice to know that, and there's plenty out there, but it's nice to know that you guys really take that as a mission for what you do. And I know that I believe is one of your founders a veteran?
Yeah, so our founder and CEO is actually veteran. One of the charities we support and work with is a veteran farming charity.
Wow.
And that's kind of the big thing. Lou said it best. We're 8 Oaks Farm Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just 8 Oaks Distillery. We have the farm. We
grow the wheat on the farm.
Yeah, we grow the wheat, we grow, and we're huge proponents of like the regenerative farming, where I literally would say our CEO spends as much time talking about and teaching people about farming as I spend talking and teaching people about whiskey.
Now, when the farm was created, was it a traditional like farm first and then you decided to do distilling, or was it always designed to be a distillery?
The distillery was built.
Okay.
It was a farm first, became distillery.
So it was like, farming's cool, but like, we can make alcohol.
It's more of like, it was an entire concept though. Like he was like, I know I'm going to make whiskey once I start growing.
That's pretty cool.
I don't want to cut anyone off, but this is a pot. Like as we're having this conversation,
I smell it.
The nose is hitting me right now. It's amazing.
And you still have COVID nose, so I mean, you don't smell things.
I was like the hipster of COVIDs. I was like one of patient. I had it before it was cool. I had COVID like very early.
I had it 4 times.
We're not keeping score.
It's about quality.
It's pathetic I am.
Listen, like you could have had like 4 or 5 times. I had it first. So, it's fine. But I haven't had a smell since 2020. And then I had this parosmia condition, which like a neurologist said only 13% of people who had COVID and the vaccine got it. And I couldn't smell anything at all. And everything that I could smell would be bad. And over the last 6 months, it's starting to come back. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I could smell this.
It's got a great nose. It's got a great nose.
Well, if you can smell it, what that means, right? It's probably time to drink it.
So let's do a little toast.
Cheers.
Kyle,
thank you.
Toastmaster.
Thank you so much for letting me join you all today.
Absolutely.
Already.
Welcome aboard. Oh, wow.
Now I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, since I'm with 8 Oaks, I could sit here and pitch and tell you a million things about what the flavor profile should be. But I think it's a lot more fun. Let the guys trying it talk about what they taste and think about it.
So with the rye, it's got kind of like an oak taste. Okay, a little oaky taste to it, but it's just really smooth. It's really smooth. It really just goes down nice and easy. There's no bite to it at all. It's got a good nose to it. I could drink 30 of them.
And they're quadruple pours. So,
yeah,
so I'm drinking 120 of these.
I was about to say, with that pour, he means he can drink 5 of them.
Nope. He said 30. He meant 30.
He meant 30. Okay.
Don't ever sell my boy short.
I got it. My bad.
Was that a dare? But honestly, though, we appreciate bringing this along. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, and I know you like bourbons, you like rye,
I do,
but not as much as regular whiskey or Irish whiskey or something like that. You don't drink the bourbons as much, do you?
No, and I'll be frank, I don't have the palate that you have.
Yeah.
But the first thing that came to my mind wasn't the taste; it was the smoothness of it.
Yeah.
There's no bite, there's no burn. There's just like, again, I don't know if it's oak or what it is. It's like wines, right? Mm-hmm. Like anytime we go out to dinner, like Sean orders for the table. He knows the brand that he likes. I just know if it tastes good or not, right? This is amazing.
I'll take it tastes good any day. That's the best.
Right. So for me, it's taste, but it's smooth. It goes down easy. It tastes phenomenal.
Kyle, how did you get into this business?
I tripped and fell in by accident.
That's what we all said. I mean, it literally.
I grew up in this business. My mom was like a 30-year bartender. I remember sweeping up. I actually remember having a roped off booth on nights that my mom couldn't get a babysitter, sitting there coloring in the corner of the bar.
I respect that.
Never going to share what that bar's name was because they probably weren't allowed to have kids inside whatsoever. But
Odd.
Look at the comments later.
Check the comments for this one. But I just ended up following that passion where I went, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. And then I got double conned into being a rep and have done that forever now, 12 years or so.
What do you think? Well, if you were talking to somebody who was looking to get into the sales end of the wine and spirits business, what advice would you give them? Besides, don't.
No, truth be told, just selling, and I'm sure you guys know this, selling is just like guest service in a restaurant, in a bar. It's the same thing. You deal with people, you touch people all day. So your goals should be to be relationship oriented, be a friend, be a pal. Don't walk in and go, you know something, I should get this job because I'm the best salesman in the world. Walk in with I'm gonna be everybody here's friend mentality. And that's how you get the job and how you get sales.
I agree with that.
I agree with it too. If I could tell you actually a little story about how, the relationship was built with Kyle. We had FaceTime to sit down and discuss 8 Oaks. But I would just sort of follow up his advice on what he would give people looking to get into sales. Don't necessarily only try to sell what you need to sell. Try to sell what the guest needs. And one of the things that speaks to, Kyle's character and, I could see why 8 Oaks, brought him a part of the team is, after we built up and had a discussion regarding bringing 8 Oaks in, he was actually mindful enough to actually say like, hey, I know some other people in the business, not bourbon, but, and here are their numbers in case, you are trying to get a hold of people. He knew that I was trying to get in touch with some reps from other places and I couldn't. And he just saw that, as a client, he's like, hey, you guys need this? I could do that for you. It's as simple as sharing a phone number. And, some people might look into it like, I don't sell it, so I don't care. You could just be out of it. And Kyle was like, oh, you guys need that? I could do that for you. So, he was really quick to build that relationship and that trust. I'm like, oh, you're just not someone selling us product. Like, oh, you're invested to seeing us succeed. That's great.
It's weird to have that in this business, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's so cutthroat sometimes, both with salespeople and with restaurant managers and employees and stuff like that. It always seems it's so competitive that people don't realize that we all rise together. We all can help each other out. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen some success over the years is because of relationships we've built with people, not necessarily, we listen, you could sell whatever product out there. Some of it sells itself, some of it doesn't. But when your product is hospitality, it's all about creating those networks of people that are going to have the similar goal and similar vision that you have, but make things happen for other people. That's the way we build our business upon, and that's doing for others. And I know that sometimes that can sound corny, but it really sounds, it's really the way we live by. So, I mean, and the persistence of making sure that, hey, I'm available for you and I'm available to help you out. It goes a long way. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge part of the business, but it also invites moments like these, right? Where we're all sitting together, enjoying a glass of Pennsylvania rye, talking, talking business, talking, wrestling, talking every part of it.
Now, are you a wrestling fan?
No, not at all.
So we're not talking to Kyle anymore.
But the point is,
it sounded judgy when you said no, though. You're like, no. I have friends.
No, I'm just
people
not even,
like me. I don't watch wrestling.
I can't even bumble through this one and pretend I know what I'm talking about.
There was no pause, no hesitation. No. Spot on.
No, I was the cool kid in school. I don't watch wrestling. You loser.
That's the other tip for anyone getting in this business. Don't lie to people.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about lying later, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, if you're ever caught lying in this business, and I'm sure both of you restaurant management experience, if you catch a rep lying to you, I bet that's the last time you did anything with that rep.
You only have your own reputation to go by, and if you start soiling that, you can't get that stain out.
As Jay-Z once said, the only thing I have in this world is my word and my balls, and I don't break them for anybody.
I believe he also says something about 99 problems, but I can't remember which one.
Sean is definitely my one.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you bringing some drinks with us and being the first ever guest on the Supper Club. I mean, when we're looking back on this 10, 15 years from now and be like, what was episode 2 like? And Kyle's going to sit back.
The last episode. What was that like?
I was going to say it was the worst hour of my life.
I need this to not be the last episode because I don't need you to be able to use me as the excuse.
It would definitely be low. It would definitely be low. I mean, we all know.
Well,
for a fact.
Kyle, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you. Appreciate the free booze and love the product again. Where can we find you guys at right now?
We're in the Reading Terminal Market in Philly. Come by, buy it, please.
Mm-hmm.
And we're available in so many of the Pennsylvania stores. There's kind of no rhyme or reason how that works, but you can check online for your local listing.
We live and breathe in Pennsylvania. We know how backwards the system is, believe me. And especially coming from where you come from, it's like, wait a minute, you can't do what?
State-controlled extortion.
In Florida, you can go up at a gas station and
buy gas.
And buy gas, but at the register, there's literally like buckets of like 22-ounce beers. Like, oh yeah, let me get a Bud Light too.
You mean the state stores sell gas?
Right. You can believe that. So, yeah, our wonderful system. But But anyway, I want to say cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Kyle, for coming aboard. Thank you for 8 Oaks Farm Distillery. Great product, and we're gonna keep
drinking.
Yeah, keep drinking.
Cheers. Want to thank Kyle Richards again from 8 Oaks Farm and Distillery for being aboard and being our first guest at the Supper Club sessions. Kyle, on top of giving us free booze to drink, was very informative about the product, about the business model over at 8 Oaks. And speaking of information, Sean, I know there's something you've been wanting to talk about as far as actually educating the masses.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I like to sometimes get up on a soapbox and just kind of give my opinion on certain things. And one of the things that's been in the news a lot lately, with some legislation that's going on around the state and around the country, quite frankly, is minimum wage. And what in Pennsylvania right now, the minimum wage is $7.25. I think we can all agree.
Pretty low.
It's ridiculously low. I know that the minimum wage was originally set out to kind of create that little net for people. So that's the entry level job, but a lot of people they need to be able to have that point of entry. So we all agree $7.25 is too light. In the restaurant business, and there's a lot of talk about this, and there's certain organizations out there that like to kind of spin it a little bit, but I just want to kind of give like a little bit of an education on what tip credit and minimum wage is in restaurant business. So a lot of times you hear people out there saying, restaurant owners, they only pay their employees $2.84 an hour, or $2 an hour, which technically is true. Okay. What we're allowed to do as restaurant operators is take advantage of what's called a tip credit. And the tip credit is basically saying that, hey, you're in a job that primarily pays, a decent amount of tipped wages. And as a result, as a business owner, we're allowed to sit there and say, okay, like we're going to pay, let's just say a server, $2.84 an hour. Mm-hmm. That's where the message kind of stops a lot, especially when it comes to the way it's talked about in the news and different organizations. We still have to make sure everybody makes minimum wage.
Right.
We still have to make sure that everybody makes the minimum wage.
So if a server makes no tips,
they get minimum wage. Okay. So if a server works, let's just say 10 hours during the week, mm-hmm. and they didn't make any tips whatsoever, they're going to make at least the minimum wage. Now, are there...
You don't hear that a lot. You don't hear that part.
No. I think everybody just want to put out this message out there that they're making $2.84 an hour. And then on top of that, it's kind of it's always highlighted the downfalls of the industry and the bad actors that don't necessarily respect their employees or pay them good wages or anything like that. Where people sit there and say oh they're taking advantage of somebody, and I don't think that's true. And I really don't. And I could tell you, not just from a management standpoint, but also just from being engaged with my team and being engaged with my team members and caring about my team members. We're always asking, how did you do today? Did you do okay? Are there times where, we go out of pocket to make sure that people did well? Absolutely. That has happened and probably will always happen. But I think on average, when you look at the wages, that our employees make, it's north of $18, $20 an hour. And I'm not even saying that that's enough sometimes for what they have to put up with. But there's always that trade-off that happens when with any industry you decide to be in, you're acknowledging that I want to be in this industry and I want to work within this industry. I need to make money. I need to be able to sustain myself. And you always have a choice of to do or not to do it. Many of the people that I know that have been in the service industry for a long time, they do it because it has flexibility. They don't have to sit there and, be tied to a 9 to 5, or maybe there's childcare needs, or maybe, whatever it is. There's flexibility that comes along with this business. There's the ability to make additional money any given day. If you're working at a desk in an accounting firm, you don't necessarily have the ability to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to work on Saturday and make more money. Sometimes you might have a boss who tells you have to, which I don't agree with. But the fact is that you have the ability to sit there and say, hey, I need to make a little bit more, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And for as many horror stories there are out there of bad actors and bad employers who don't necessarily do things the right way, there's so many untold stories out there of independent restaurant owners and even chain restaurant owners who go out of their way to provide a good environment for their employees. And being honest about what the wages are is really important, because I think we've seen in other cities that there's where tipped income, tip credit has been abolished. Restaurants hurt. Restaurants suffer from that.
The servers wound up suffering too, from what I've seen from Portland, which is prime example. Anytime you want to see government ruin something good, to where servers and bartenders go from when they do their hourly rate with their tips and their $2.84 or whatever, making $24, $25 an hour, to like, yeah, I took a pay cut. I got paid more hourly, but now I'm making like $18 an hour.
Well, because, and listen, there's all other kind of things you can lump into this, when it comes to, people adding on fees to the check and that kind of stuff. All you do is you create more barriers to entice that guest to be able to come in to see you another time. You're sacrificing the short dollar for the long dollar by adding on these fees or creating a system where somebody can give you X amount extra of service than somebody else can,
right, and
make more money. And it
takes away the incentivization.
So, what I always try to sit there and when I tell people, because I have this conversation a lot with different restaurant owners and operators and lobbyists and politicians, is that we can't look at what restaurant owners do in terms of only the bad actors that take advantage of the system. You have to take into account that it's a extremely large, enormous industry that for the most part polices itself. And I think that word has to get out there. I think that word has to get out there. I think, that the general public sometimes doesn't know exactly how that system works. It's the same thing when you get these guys who come in and are regular at the bar and they think, I'm not leaving the house, the money goes to the bartender because the bartender, hooked me up with 2 drinks. So, is that fair and equitable for everybody? No, of course not. So, we want to make sure we're creating an even playing field for everybody. And I think in order to do that, we just need to get the word out there that there's more to the story than just restaurant owners or operators paying people $2.84 an hour. We care about our employees, because without our employees, we can't do anything. And we make sure that they're taken care of. And, we need to make sure that everybody is taking care of their people.
I'll drink to that. That's
and
good call.
I'm off my soapbox. But that brings us to the next thing we were kind of like discussing earlier. It's the holidays.
Well, it does, because you just had an educational kind of like, soapbox, for lack of a better term. But one of the other things that I think that we have done, that we're doing, that we're going to continue to do, is try to continue education by not just educating, the masses or staff, but also educate the guests, right? We just came off of, a holiday, which, by the way, how was your Easter?
I mean, it was a nice day.
Okay.
It was, I don't celebrate it traditionally in the way a lot of people do, with family time or anything like that. The last time I was invited to a family dinner for Easter, what
happened? Did you show up?
I may not have shown up.
He didn't show up. He was invited to a family dinner for Easter. He was invited to my family's house for dinner. And he was actually, the seat at the head of the table was reserved for him, and it remained empty the entire duration of dinner. My grandmother wept before she passed, and her dying words were, "I'll never get to meet Sean." And as long as you're okay living with that, I guess I'll have to be. But I just want you to know that that never happened. April Fools. But Sean was invited, and he no-showed me for dinner. So every Easter is my opportunity just to check in with him and make sure he's doing well.
So about the holidays. So I have a tendency, because I'm dumb, and I generally work during the holidays, because that's just the way I've always been. How was your holiday? I know you worked.
My holiday was great. For anyone that works in the restaurant industry, my holiday coincided with end of month inventory, which is just, I'm just going to keep drinking.
Well, it's funny. So we talk about, we really love this business. We have a passion for it, but there are some horror stories. And we've all had some horror stories out there, and some people, like to call it, why don't you go cry in the walk-in? Because there's no crying on the floor.
What walk-ins are for.
So give me an example of a cry in the walk-in type of situation that you had to deal with in your career.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a cry so much as it was, I needed to go into a walk-in just to decompress from something that happened at a place where I've worked before. I'm upstairs on the floor, and a gentleman comes to meet me, and he wants, "Are you the manager?" I'm like, "I am the manager. How can I help you today?" And he said, "Hey, like, I want to book a party with your establishment." And first of all, the gentleman is wearing a vest, a top hat that is tilted to the side. He has a pocket watch on, a steampunk looking pocket watch. He goes to shake my hand. Sean, if for our audience, I could show you the gesture. Extend your hand as if you're going to shake me. He went to shake my hand like this, which was...
Man's got character.
Sure. The man was a character. Absolutely. And he approached me with, "Hey, I want to book half of your establishment for an event that I am doing. And we're a very select group of people, and we're going to need half your restaurant, and we're going to need plenty of space." And then he says the phrase, "I think you know where I'm going with this." And I said, "Well, I don't think I do know where you're going with this at all."
Would have been funny if you said absolutely and just not had a clue, but good.
I didn't have a clue because I wasn't ready. So he deadpan looks me in the eye, and he says, "Well, we're a bunch of fairies." Well, and the fairies.
For the rest of our viewing audience, why don't you describe what a fairy is?
Fairy, it's a subculture of like-minded individuals that, in this case, like to dress up as animal-esque mascots that may also have protruding appendages on the men, and very accentuated features for the women. So, sexy.
Can you draw a picture of this? I'm not getting a mental image.
I'll ask AI to do it. Sexy Philly fanatics, I guess, for lack of a better term, with an emphasis on the sex part.
Real quick, before we go any further.
Can't wait.
What does a non-sexy Philly fanatic look like?
The Philly fanatic. So he wanted to, and he's having this conversation with me during a lunch where there's families around and there's children running and playing. And he's talking about bringing like this sex pet shop to our store. So, I politely let him know he should probably actually go to the bar across the street from us and look into hosting his party there. But there was no one around I could talk to. Like, there wasn't another manager. There wasn't a server. There wasn't a hostess. There wasn't a cook. You know what was there for me? That's always there for me? The walk-in. So I went into the walk-in. I may or may have not hit a vape. And I just kind of like leaned my head against the compression of the fan and just, what is going on in my life? Why is this the life I live right now? That's one of my tales from the walk-in. Steampunk ferries, man. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Do you have anything? Anything that comes to mind as far as like reasons you'd have to go into a walk-in, whether to cry, whether to fight?
I could tell you one that started in a walk-in.
Okay.
Years ago, probably 15 years ago, I owned a place over in East Falls, and small place, sports bar type of family, neighborhood sports bar type of feel. And my chef, kitchen guy, he had like 3 tickets in the window, and that was a lot. At that time, I'm looking around, can't find him anywhere. Come, all up and down, all around. I just happened to go downstairs to the walk-in, thinking maybe he's grabbing something from the walk-in or something like that.
Makes sense.
As I opened the door to the walk-in, the waft of the marijuana plant was blasted right into my face. And there's my chef, kitchen manager, I'm gonna call him, and my dishwasher in there smoking
and the
weed.
dishwasher, nice.
So of course I had to fire them both on the spot. They tainted everything in the walk-in.
What a buzzkill!
Right. But there's situations like that. But then there's other situations where I can tell you. A couple years back when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, it was
Go Birds.
Go Birds. It was a great time to be in Philadelphia, and we had a big old party where we were at, and when everything was all said and done, it was probably like 3:30 in the morning, and the dust is settling, and we're straightening up, and we're cleaning, and you get done counting all the money and stuff like that, and it was just like, I just need that cool air. And I went down in that walk-in, and I just kind of like let that cool air just kind of hit my body. And it gives you that extra little oomph to get through the rest of the night. It was 3:00 in the morning, but when you're sitting,
you were headed out probably afterwards.
when you're humping, all night, when you're just nonstop doing your Circle 8s all night, and just hitting up all the bars and taking care of guests and checking on the bathrooms and running food and taking out trash and do whatever we can to support the team.
Controlled chaos.
You forget how to breathe sometimes, and getting that first breath of cool air when the Birds won the Super Bowl.
Nipples get hard.
And it's such a good feeling, but there's a lot of times during those holidays, and holidays are always tough for restaurant workers and restaurant employees, because obviously nobody wants to be working on the holiday. But there are people that, that make a living off of it. And there's people that, enjoy going out on holidays. I can tell you one year, during the pandemic, every place was closed, couldn't have any indoor business, and we were just takeout only. And that was when I started to despise the sound of DoorDash and Uber Eats with their little ding, 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 ding.
How's it go?
Ding,
Nice.
ding. I remember it was
it like trauma.
Mother's Day of 2020, and we had, people waited 2.5 hours for their food, and some people, they left without it, because there was 4 people cooking and 3 people, trying to hand out food, and it was unattainable. But and everybody's sitting there looking at us like, how could you not? the whole world shut down, and they're looking at us like, how could you not be prepared
How
for
do you not
this?
have this ready, right? Yeah.
But so and those are the other times where sometimes you just need to take a deep breath, get that cool air to walk in, and just
that also goes
move
into
on.
like, again, I love the customers that come in and support our business, but there are times where, customers don't know how to act. And, you know, that's a good representation. It's a good snapshot of what you're talking about. Again, like the world's shut down and you're mad that I don't have your food ready yet. Like, we'll get there. Give it time. I remember we had a time where there was outdoor seating only. You weren't allowed to sit inside, you know, and whether you just didn't believe in the science or, you know, if it was political, which I'll never get into, and whatever, what have you. People would come in and then, you know, there would be that feigned ignorance of like, what do you mean I can't eat inside? And I'm like, bro, like, you know you can't eat inside, right? So then they elect to then say, okay, fine, I'll eat outside. And then as they made a conscious choice and decision to eat outside, like, can you do anything about the heat? I'm like, yeah.
Turn the air conditioner outside.
Let me call God real quick. And be like, yo, bro, how about switching a season? Like, people sometimes don't know how to act in public. And
they forget
sucks,
sometimes that we're all human, you know, and that's one thing we always have to remind ourselves, that we're all in this human race together. And, you know, this idea that like, you know, I'm gonna go out on a holiday and I'm gonna take out whatever frustrations I have with my family, with my job, or whatever, on the person who, you know, either volunteered or was asked to, you know, work on a holiday, and they're just trying to sit there and pay their bills. The restaurant's sitting there trying to pay its bills, and people who shouldn't go out to restaurants to eat make the choice to go out to restaurants to eat. And
you know, a lot of times it's not a choice. It's like, hey, no one else invited me over for no one else invited me for Easter dinner. So now I have to go out to eat. But I wonder why that is, that no one else invited you out.
Either that or nobody invites you to Easter dinner anymore because you messed up one year.
Yeah. The important thing is to hold it over that person's head forever and never let it go under any circumstances, ever. As you were saying, Sean. But yeah, I agree. People do need some education on how to act. If only there was like a class for that, like a bar 101 or something like that, then we could educate the masses on how to conduct themselves properly. If there was any knowledge you could bestow on people going out, what's an example you would give? I know we've talked about this loosely last week, but if we had to continue the education, because it
is continuing education, because it never stops. It's treat others the way you want to be treated. The golden rule, right?
Someone of some sort of notoriety said that once.
It's the golden rule. It's, you know, I when I'm talking to my team and I'm you know, whether it be a new hire or a transfer or just anybody, I tell everybody, if you're treat everybody like they're one of your relatives. You know, treat everybody like it was a brother, a sister, a cousin, an uncle, a mother, a father, you know, a son, a daughter. Treat others the way that you would want your family to be treated. And I think all too often, if people are treating their family the way that they treat restaurant staff, I feel bad for those families.
The reason they're not invited to Easter dinner.
You're absolutely right. But you know, and a majority, a very large majority of people do. And I've been fortunate to cultivate some pretty good relationships with people over the years, and regulars and, you know, fans of different places we've been at, that they are out there for the right reasons, and they do treat staff right.
Right.
One thing that, you know, I'll never stand for is somebody belittling a staff member.
Ever.
You know, or treating them harshly, or, you know, using vulgar language or anything like that. The one thing in Bar 101 is, you know, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. You know,
nothing wrong with that.
It's not that complicated. What about you?
As far as, well, first of all, I agree with everything you're saying. Like,
of course you do, because I'm right.
I disagree with everything you said, actually.
And you're also dumb.
if I could bestow any knowledge, like, I mean, yours was broad stroke, right? I mean, for me, if I'm educating anyone on anything, I'll talk more like specific scenarios. Yeah. Here's one for you, right? If you're going out to eat, Sean, ask me how I'm doing today.
How you doing today?
3.
Man? But I just wanted
3. There's 3 of us.
But
I just need a table for 3.
But
that table open?
But you're not letting me speak.
I'm not letting you speak.
Weird, right?
And it's weird because, like, if we're bringing a guest on, or if we're just seeing each other in public, or if we're meeting anyone, it's usually, hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? That's it. Conversation part's over, right? We could get down to getting
Details.
a guest to table now, right? But the whole like, a table coming in or a guest coming in, and before the host could even say, how are you today? Like, you're letting me know how many, I could see there's 3 of you. 3, I get it, right? It's the same thing when a server comes over and like, hey, I'm Lou, I'm gonna be taking water and a beer. I'll just go fuck myself.
I don't want to
then.
hear your specials. I don't want to hear
right.
what you have to recommend. I would have rather have gone to McDonald's and just ordered off the menu.
If you want fast food, there's so many fast food restaurants out there. And listen, they're successful, right? Like McDonald's, I know you said it last week. You don't care for McDonald's. It's technically the most successful restaurant on the planet that we live in. Not the city, the state, the country, not nationally. McDonald's is
far and away.
It's not close.
It's not 36,000 outlets. You're a success in the restaurant business if you open one and keep it open.
Hell
okay.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty good if you got 4 or 5.
Right.
You're doing really good if you got like 20 or 30, and you're creating some generational wealth at that point if you're the owner. When you're at 36,000
with a license to operate on the moon, should a business ever operate on the moon, they have that license that's already established, right? But if you want fast food, dude, go get fast food. But if you're coming out for the experience, right? And I think I don't go out to eat just to go out to eat. If I just want something and I don't want to cook it for myself, I'll Uber Eats it, Grubhub, DoorDash, any of those things. Go walk my ass over to a spot and get takeout, right?
That doesn't happen. Come on.
I don't walk. Yeah, you're right. But if you're actually sitting down at a table or at a bar with people and you're getting yourself food, like you chose to have an experience of going out to eat, don't ruin it, right? Like you wouldn't want to watch a movie and then just fast forward right to the end and you just give me the part where I get my food and my check, right? You want the experience.
I'll disagree with that a little bit. There are certain movies that I do fast forward to a certain part and enjoy that part. Maybe.
Does that come in like a orange and black streaming service for these movies that you watch? Okay, gotcha. We're not talking about those movies.
Easter.
We're not Easter. Bunnies and furries, right?
Bunnies and furries and
do you think the Easter
treating
bunny?
people right.
Do you think the Easter bunny was a furry?
I don't know.
Where'd that cat? Never mind. Anyway, so one of the things I would talk about is, let the hosts introduce themselves, let the servers introduce themselves, and try to take your order before you just interrupt them rudely and speak over them. So if I was educating people, that would be like my specific topic to discuss. Are we agreeing more than we usually do today?
There's something going on. Is there? I think there's a full eclipse coming up soon or something like that, or is it, I think Mercury's rising.
I don't believe in any of that voodoo.
It's weird because you are Leo and you are Leo.
Yeah, I just don't believe in superstitions. I don't believe in like these long-standing traditions of just believing in magic or things like that nature. That actually brings me to something I want to talk about. As we're close to 86 in our show, I want to talk about what I would like to 86 moving forward. And I will tell you this. If you asked me how I was doing today, I would say I'm all right, but it could be better if it was nicer out. And it's not nicer out. It's
raw.
It's raw. It's biting. It's damp. I mean, I know we're on YouTube and we could say whatever we want, but I try not to use too much vulgarity, but it's fucking shitty outside. Right. And I was promised better. I was promised better by a 4-legged furry little fuck called Puxatony Phil, the groundhog. Right. And I want to be very frank and upfront about this. I'm 86ing the groundhog. I'm 86ing Groundhog Day. I'm 86ing, when you really boil things down, liars. The groundhog's a liar. All right. It promises things like an early spring, and it doesn't deliver. I don't want to really read off a teleprompter, but I do have some notes. We were promised an early spring. All right. We were promised an early spring by the groundhog, who, by the way, gives his predictions from a place called Gobbler's Knob, which is the name of the location in PA where the Puxatony Phil sees or doesn't see his shadow and practices his witchcraft and voodoo. We were promised an early spring. Now, we were promised this on February 2nd. The first day of spring was March 19th. Forget early spring. Let's talk about the weather since spring happened. 46 on 3/19, 55 on 3/20. 43, 46, 52, 48. It never gets above 54 degrees since spring started. The average temperature for spring in Philadelphia, if you Google it, is over 60 degrees. So not only did we not have an early spring, we didn't have a spring. Okay, so the fact that this 150-year-old tradition is something that we are putting our stock in to tell weather patterns. First of all, 150 years ago, they were treating women for PMS and menstrual symptoms by using leeches. So I'm not going to scientifically equate how we get our weather patterns from the same way that they used things like that back 150 years ago. So it's an archaic tradition that for some reason this state and the world has adopted. It's on our calendars. It shouldn't be. The groundhog is a rodent, which to me is the same thing as a rat or filthy vermin. And what you should do with most vermin, you should extinguish it. Okay, so we should get rid of the groundhogs. We should get rid of Groundhog Day, get rid of Puxatony Phil, get rid of liars that promise us things like early warm weather and instead give us 48 fucking degrees in April and rain. So 86, the groundhog, 86, Groundhog Day. And with that being said,
now I appreciate your opinion. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I appreciate it. I do like cooler weather. My two big takeaways from your little rant there are one that apparently Punxsutawney Phil and myself have the same name for our bedroom. And the second thing is that you are a climate denier.
I am not a climate denier. I unfortunately believe people at their word when they give me their word. And Puxatony Phil is a breaker of words.
But if you knew how climate change actually worked, it's not global warming as they used to call it back in the 80s and 90s. It's climate change, meaning it's erratic changes within the climate that happen on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis.
Right.
And what you're saying is that the predictability of the climate by a rodent, as you called him.
Right, we need to 86 that.
You depend upon him for your...
I'm saying people need to stop doing that.
I agree. Okay, I agree. And you know what? I'm going to go much, much, much simpler on my 86 list, okay? My 86 list is something, you know, we all have those social media groups that we're a part of that we wish you could just like opt out of and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden it springs back up. Cheesesteaks. I'm over...
Tread lightly.
Tread lightly, sir. These cheesesteak snobs that how many times a month do I have to read about the top 10 cheesesteaks in Philadelphia? How many times a month do I have to read about where this steak is great, this one's trash? Listen, there are bad cheesesteaks and there are very good ones, but they're different. Steve's Prince of Steaks.
Great cheesesteak.
Phenomenal. Okay, but
they got a little skimpy with the meat.
They did, as they got either that or the rolls got bigger. But
not
but that's a specific type of steak. D'Alessandro's, ultra chopped and pile on the meat. Okay, then you go to places like the Pats and Geno's, the tourist traps, and the John Roast Porks, and you have all these different places out there. But I'm sick and tired every day of somebody putting something somewhere in a feed, going to Reddit or going to Facebook and saying, "What are the best cheesesteaks in Philadelphia?" Go out and experience them. There's plenty of them out there, okay? There's lists and lists and lists. Nobody ever has to sit there and make a new list about a friggin' cheesesteak in the city of Philadelphia one more time. We all know the list. We all know which ones are on them. We all know which ones are great. We all know which ones are shit, okay? Nobody from Philadelphia is sitting there saying Pats and Geno's, okay? Meanwhile, when I was growing up, I thought Pats and Geno's were phenomenal. That was the after we went to the Sixers game, and after the Sixers game, we would stop and get Geno's, not even Pat's. So I mean, even then, I wasn't a true fatty. But like at this point, with all the different competitiveness in all restaurants, everything that's going on out there, do we really need to argue about who's got a good cheesesteak and who doesn't? Can't we just sit there and say cheesesteaks are great? Period. End of story. If you don't like it, don't go back a second time. If you like it a lot, go back a lot.
Cheesesteaks are great.
I love cheesesteaks. All right.
If you had to make a list right now, like who would be your top number?
On that note, I think we're about ready to 86 episode 2.
It's time to 86 the show. So we want to thank Kyle from 8 Oaks Farm Distillery for coming out. We want to thank the viewers that we had from the first episode. We got pretty good feedback and engagement. We want to thank you now if you're watching this, and thank you in the future if you're going to tune in for our next episode, which will drop next week. Again, I am Lou Novak. This is Sean Junkyard McGranahan, and is there something?
I do want to share some feedback that I've gotten from some viewers.
I can't wait to hear this. We love our viewers.
There's an acknowledgement that maybe you either aren't aware of or don't embrace what my actual nickname is by changing it up. I'm defending you, actually. Okay, I've had the nickname Thump since I was 12 years old. Many people know that. I had a bar that was named after me. I have it tattooed on my arm, and
we should close up on him right now for this one. I feel like
but there's not a person out there who probably knows the ups and downs of shit that I've gotten into over my life than you. So you can call me pretty much any name you want, especially Daddy. On that note,
Sean Thump McGranahan, cheers. Thanks.
YUNKJunk!